Welcome to the 12 Report with Blessings Musugu, and these are the headlines. Senate passes Electoral Act. Amendment bill as protest resumes over real-time transmission of votes. Also, EFCC extends ex-Kaduna Governor El-Rufai's detention as lawyers push for bail. Gabon's media regulator suspends social media indefinitely. And of course, we have our reporters stationed across the different parts of the nation and beyond. We'll bring you the details shortly. We start off in the Lekki-Ekpe axis of Lagos, Nigeria, and we have our reporter Israel Iferobo, who's stationed there currently to give us an update as a protest is ongoing there, and we want to find out what's happening. Israel, we hear that minibus drivers are protesting mass transit corridor designation. What exactly are they demanding for at this moment?
We are at the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway, and the entire lane coming and going in and out is all blocked, and it's being caused by some sort of transport reform by the Lagos state government. Apparently, there has been some consultations and meetings with the transporters on this corridor, especially those that use the mini buses that is popularly known as the Kurupe. Well, apparently there have been some sort of conversations surrounding the fact that this corridor is now some sort of a mass transport initiative by the Lagos state government. Well, there was some conversation surrounding the fact that these Kurupe buses will not be used here any longer. There were meetings, talks were held, and they were asked to go ahead and repaint their buses and put their buses in order. But surprisingly, according to them, yesterday, some men of the Lagos State Task Force came over, arresting buses, arresting people as well. This is the reason why these people are on the ground today, protesting the ban of these buses here on this particular axis. I'm going to go straight now and speak to some people here who will go ahead now and explain further to us, because they are the ones directly affected here today. So follow me here now. Let's speak to this young man here to tell us more about this. So you are the chairman of the union here. What exactly is going on?
Yeah, it's been a while we've been hearing over these announcements that buses on the roads are going to be eradicated. So, in a nutshell, there was a fateful afternoon. The National Union chairman, which was Alhaji Sego, came to Aja and gave the announcement that all Kurupes are going to be eradicated. That should be January. The news came to me. I walked up to the garage. I heard it myself. So on the long run, we were invited to Agege.
So when you were invited, you told me that you were asked to repaint your buses and put it in order. So what is happening right now?
After that agreement and announcement that we should fix our buses in order, we suddenly heard there was going to be a raiding on February 2. The news was shocking, so I had to make some calls. After the calls, I saw it was real because I was a victim at Jack.
So now some of these buses have been taken off the road by men of the task force. So right now you have blocked the entire stretch of the Lekki-Ekpe Express Road. What exactly do you want right now?
We are appealing to the government to consider the stand and reverse its decision, because to me, transportation is a means of survival and it is legalized under the Constitution of Nigeria.
Are you trying to fight the government?
Not at all. We cannot fight the government. We are only trying to show our grievance, and we plead that the essay to the governor should consider its stance and have a rethink. Because if you look at what is happening, you see women, probably widows, fathers, aged, young, able guys driving both T4s, including myself. In fact, that I fall victim of circumstance of this accident. I could be classified under the disabled as at now.
Thank you very much. So blessings. So they are indeed trying to appeal to the government to try and look into the issue of this ban on minibuses. Stay with me now, blessings. There are women here who are also bus riders on this particular stretch of the road, and their buses were taken away from them by the task force yesterday. Let's try and hear from them as well. So, what happened to your bus yesterday?
Broken. When we can paint motor, we have paint already. Already to move. When we can move 500,000, I give you a motor. You will see me already 500,000. Small for motor. I'm a widow. I'm a single mother of two. I don't have a husband, and I can't do prostitutes. That is what I'm doing to help myself. So they collected my bus yesterday at Marua. They asked me to go and paint it, and I've painted it already. They still collected it yesterday. So please, they should release Korokbase. They should release us to be working because we don't have anything to do. That's what we can do for now. Please, they should just release us, please.
So, blessings, this is a situation right now. They are appealing to the government to try and come to their aid and look into this particular issue. There is also a heavy security presence here. The policemen are also here, and so they're also trying to guard the situation here. Back to you, blessings, in the studios.
Israel Iferobo there on the Lekki-Epe transport route that is currently ongoing. These commuters, the transporters using what Nigerians call the Marwa vehicle, are protesting. And the woman did say that she was asked to bring about 500,000 naira. I mean, how much is the Marwa itself? But Israel is currently on ground and will be giving us the development of the story as it unfolds. But let's move on. Former Governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, has spent a second night in the custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission as investigators continue questioning him over an alleged 432 billion naira corruption probe. Now, sources say the commission is considering a court remand order to keep him in custody beyond the legally permitted hours while inquiries into his 8-year tenure progress. His lawyer, A.U. Mustafa, confirmed the former governor remains with investigators and is cooperating fully, insisting his client is not a flight risk and should be granted bail. The anti-graft agency is yet to disclose specific charges as investigations continue. Now let's take a look at more stories. The Senate held an emergency plenary sitting to make amendments to the 2027 election timeline and a decisive vote on the controversial electronic transmission provision. News Central's National Assembly correspondent was at the plenary and now reports.
The Senate is reconvening for the second time since it went on recess. After the preliminaries, the Senate leader breaks the ice, informing lawmakers the reason for the emergency assembly, saying that it is with regards to the timeline for the 2027 election, which falls within the Ramadan period.
Senate equally notes that upon further critical review of the bill as passed, it has been observed that the 360 days notice requirement prescribed in clause 28 may result in the scheduling of the 2027 presidential and national assembly election within the period of Ramadan.
The Senate leader then moved that the Senate enters a closed-door session to continue consideration of the bill. The doors were reopened to the public after an hour. It was at this point that consideration on the contentious clause 60 was being considered, especially the provision that allows manual transmission when e-transmission fails.
And then you rule. Whether you rule in your discretion. So you don't put the question. You cannot tell him to rule. Once it is 72, there's no ruling. If the essence of his call for division is for him or any other person, with due respect, who wants Nigerians to see where he stands, or who especially wants his political party to see where he stands, let it be so. Now, we are not doing anything here based on emotions or sentiment. Yes. We are not doing anything here because we want people to clap for us. We are here doing things in overriding public interest. Point of order by the leader Suspends. I have stated time without number.
Now, Idong Joseph is currently on standby to bring us up to date with the development from the Senate. What exactly triggered the walkout of the opposition party members, Idong?
Well, good afternoon, blessings. Well, I'll draw your attention to the fact that the walkout that was staged was in the House of Representatives. And regarding what triggered that walkout was the disagreement between lawmakers and the presiding officers regarding clause 60 sub 3 of the Electoral Amendment Act. Of course, we understand that in December last year, on the precisely 23rd of December last year, the House of Representatives had passed the Electoral Amendment Act. That's very close. Of the one that was passed was stipulated that electronic transmission of results from the polling unit should be carried out in real time. But unfortunately, yesterday we saw a different scenario where lawmakers convened. They first told us that they were going to have an emergency session regarding the timetable which INEC released. And when they came yesterday, they called for the to rescind their decision in passing the Electoral Amendment Act bill in 2025. And when lawmakers were not aligning to that's very close, because the new clause now, what was added to it was that both the electronic and manual transmission of election results should be carried out. And so majority of opposition lawmakers were against that and saying that no, that will tamper with election transparency, and they were against it. And the speaker of the Deputy Speaker of the House, who presided over the Committee of the Whole, where this consideration was being carried out, had to call for a division of the House, and which was a division vote. And those in support of this, he said that they should move to his right-hand side, and those against it should move to his left-hand side. And those from the opposition party moved to the left-hand side. And they were not, their numbers were not enough to win this vote, and they got angry and walked out of the plenary session and chanting songs accusing the ruling APC and calling members of the party names. So that was actually in the House of Representatives, where opposition party members walked out.
What happens next in the legislative process?
For now, that has been passed. We hope that they will resume next week, because from the Committee of the Whole, they need to resolve back to the plenary session, and which they did. And next week, that bill, which was rescinded, will be passed for third reading. And of course, we could recall that sometime last week, the House of Representatives and the Senate had constituted an harmonization committee, which is the conference committee, to harmonize the version of the Electoral Amendment Act the House of Representatives has, and the Senate, the one the Senate has, to look at each of the clause by clause and come up with a clean copy that will be transmitted. So by next week, we were hoping that when they resume on the 24th, they will pass this Electoral Amendment bill for the third reading, and then the Harmonization Committee will also present its report. So those are the next legislative process before it will be transmitted to the President for his assent, which is the final stage of lawmaking.
All right, Idong Joseph there on the update from the Senate on the Electoral Act amendment. Thank you for the update. Now to more stories. An unusual development unfolded on Wednesday at the Federal High Court in Abuja. A journalist arriving to cover the trial of 5 suspects accused in the St. Francis Catholic Church Owo massacre were denied entry to the courtroom by court security personnel. Officials instructed all individuals not involved in security operations to leave the courtroom. No official explanation was provided as to whether the directive came from the presiding judge, nor were reasons given for restricting media access. On this development, Joshua Marai will be joining us shortly to give us more from the court. But in the meantime, you're still live with us on the Talk Report. We go on a short break. When we come back, we've got more stories. Do stay with us. All right, we go back now live to Joshua Marai to give us an update from the court, as we said earlier. Joshua, what exactly happened inside the courtroom today?
Well, good afternoon to you, Blessings. It was an unusual scene in Court 8, the courtroom of Justice Emeka Nwite, as one of the court security personnel attached to the court ordered that everybody leave the court. Now, we're questioning further that why is the reason why are we leaving the court, and he said that it was an order. And we asked him, questioning further, that what about everybody, those who are observing the entire proceedings, even journalists? He said that anyone who is not a security man should leave the court. Now, he got into some sort of an exchange, and he said that if we questioned him further, he would tell us to get out. Well, we came outside the court, and we tried all our possible means to get inside back. And when we got inside back, he was still resolute in that particular decision immediately, but we've been given access to cover the proceedings now. But beyond now, before now actually, he has been hostile, and he told us to leave the court, not giving us any reason or whatsoever.
And since then, there has been no follow-up information from their end. Joshua, if you can hear me, I'm asking, since then, there's been no follow-up information from their end.
Absolutely. No follow-up information from their end as to why we are leaving the court, as to who the order is coming from, as to the reason why all have been asked to leave the court. But beyond that, the trial has resumed, and the court is hearing testimonies from the 9th prosecution witness, particularly SSI, who is a DSS counterterrorism investigator, and he is being cross-examined by the defense counsel as we speak.
All right, Joshua Marai there. This is an update on the trial in the Owo Church massacre case. And clearly, it's an unusual development, because usually News Central and the rest of the media team would have been able to get access. But definitely News Central is still on ground to bring you updated on the development. Now, millions of Muslims and Christians worldwide are marking the start of Ramadan and Lent, ushering in a season of fasting, prayer, and spiritual reflection. For Muslims, Ramadan begins following crescent moon confirmations in Saudi Arabia and other nations, with worshippers observing daily fasts and nightly prayers. In Nigeria, the commencement was announced by the Sultan of Sokoto, Saad Abubakar. Meanwhile, Christians begin the 40-day Lenten journey toward Easter, marked by repentance and devotion. However, countries including Japan and Turkey will begin Ramadan a day later based on local moon sightings. Now, we will be joined by News Central's lead correspondent, Bernard Akede, who will be giving us an update on this. For the first time in modern history, two of the world's major faith traditions are entering their sacred fasting seasons on the same day. Christians across the world begin Lent, while Muslims commence the holy month of Ramadan, a rare overlap that has sparked conversations around faith, sacrifice, and shared values. And Bernard Akede will be reporting on the significance of this moment and what it means for believers. We'll cross over now to Bernard in Lagos to give us more updates. Bernard, this is a rare occurrence indeed, having both holy seasons side by side each other, just overlap, but commencing on the same day. How significant would you say that this is?
And I would say it clearly is very significant. Currently, I'm standing in front of St. Leo's Catholic Church, where the midday mass has commenced, and this is Ash Wednesday Mass. The people you can see outside are parishioners who have left their offices or their businesses and decided to come and join the Ash Wednesday Mass, where they shall be receiving ashes on their forehead. The ashes they will receive basically signifies from dust to dust and from ashes to ashes, stating again that this season is for people to reflect and remember that dust we came from, dust we shall return. Now, speaking about the significance, like you said, before coming here, we equally visited the Al-Awsa Mosque, where we spoke to certain Muslim faithfuls, who equally said pretty much the same thing for for the Islamic faithful, knowing that both religions are quite similar in practice to start with. The holy month of Ramadan, just like the period of Lent, is equally a period of reflection. It's a period of giving alms to the poor, and remembering that the religion is a religion of peace. So for the fact that both religions have overlapped several times in the past, where Lent falls within the same period of Ramadan, but the first time, at least in modern history, that I can remember, that both religions are having their holy periods or holy seasons commence on the same day. I think it speaks a lot as to how similar both religions are, and how the Christian faithful and the Muslim faithful need to learn to coexist in peace and harmony, and of course to ensure that their religion thrives as they live together.
All right, Bernard Akedi, I want to believe that you've spoken with some people, both Christians and Muslims. So what would you say are their expectations for this holy month of Ramadan and, of course, the holy season of Lent?
Okay, thank you. First of all, I mentioned that we were at the mosque, and those who we spoke with for the Muslim faithful said that this will be a period for reflection for them, basically. Also a period for them to starve themselves of the worldly things that they want, remembering that there are people out there like them, or people out there who basically cannot afford the good things of life. And so it also brings them to the point of almsgiving, zakat, as they call it. For the Christians, basically, whom we have spoken to, and we will equally reach after the Mass, they are basically saying that this is equally a period of reflection, to remember that Jesus Christ died for their sins, to remember that they came, or that we all came from dust and ashes. To dust and ashes we shall return. A time for reflecting, a time for peace, a time for unity and gathering of both Christian and Muslim faithful, so that we all can live in peace and harmony. Basically, they are hoping that this period of Lent and Ramadan, side by side, will be a period for both religious groups to coexist in peace and harmony going forward.
All right, Bernard Akedi there in Lagos, giving us an update on the celebration of the Holy Month by the Christians and, of course, the Muslim faithfuls. But we're still talking about this, and we will now be crossing over to Alex Obunaya, who is currently in Imo State, and, of course, Chinwe Ogele, who will be joining us in Abia State to bring us update on how people are feeling and reflecting this season. Chinwe, let me start with you. Good afternoon to you. Can you give us an update on how this season is commemorated by both Christians and the Muslim faithfuls?
Well, Bernard already spoke a lot about the coincidence and the beginning of the fasting season for both Muslims and Christians. And for us here in Abia State, in Omaha precisely, I am at the Mater Dei Cathedral Church here in Omaha, where masses have started since morning. This is about the third mass today to commemorate the day, which is Ash Wednesday. And people are saying a lot about, how people are meant to behave this period, because today marks the beginning of the Lenten season, wherein every Christian is expected to live a life of repentance and forgiveness, also almsgiving. So, and then everyone is expected to imbibe the culture of fasting, not just fasting from food. It could be fasting from any other thing. I have here with me Patience Ila. Patience, please come and tell us, as a Christian, what does today mean for you?
Okay. And as a Christian, today marks the 40 days. Today marks like the beginning of Lent in the Catholic Church, and today we observe the 40 days fasting, like before Easter will come up. So as a Christian, I'll call the Lenten period as a period of reflection of when you have to make a renewal as a Christian, turn back from your old way, and make your relationship with God to be strong, and just reflect. It's actually a season of reflection.
Okay. What exactly are you expecting to benefit from these 40 days of praying and fasting?
Okay, for the 40 days of praying and fasting, as a Christian, not me in particular, general, we should expect something like, when you're having this reflection and you're trying to create this bond with God to be strong, you should be expecting a renewal of yourself. You should not be that old pattern of yourself. So when you are building this bond with God to go closer, you should not be that former self. You should have a renewal of yourself and just be a changed person totally, not for only the season in eternity.
Thank you very much. Okay, so you've heard from Patience, who just talked about what this season means for her. And it just like that with many others who have spoken. They've just run into the church because nobody wants to miss the reception of the ash, which signifies dust to dust. Blessing.
All right, Chimukele, let's go to Alex Ogbunaya, who is currently in Imo State. Alex, what has the turnout been like? First of all, I can see that behind you that you are in a church. What is the turnout like, for the receiving of the ash? And have you been able to speak to anyone? How are they feeling?
Yeah, Blessing, you're very correct. We are inside the Government House Chapel in Owerri. Right behind me, you can hear, if you can, the Government House Chapel choir, just kind of rehearsing some of their renditions. The service proper has not started, is yet to kick off because they are waiting the arrival of the governor. The governor has been away for a while and is expected back. In fact, the information we got some few moments ago had it that the governor, his protocol guys have gone to the airport to await his arrival. From there, he will come straight to the chapel for the service. But if you look around, I don't know if my cameraman can just find out, you see that some people are seated already, expecting the arrival of the governor, and some guests are also coming in, trooping in one by one, waiting for the arrival. But as soon as the governor arrives, you can bet it, this place will be filled to capacity. The expectations here, are very high. People are excited, especially the Christian faithful who are celebrating this period, the beginning of Lent, known as Ash Wednesday. And it's very key in the Christian calendar because this is the beginning of the 40-day Lent or fasting period, which will usher into the Easter period.
All right, Chiwe Ugile from Abia and, of course, Alex Ogbunaya giving us an update from Imo. And definitely News Central is still fully on ground to cover this very memorable day for both Christians and the Muslim faithfuls. Meanwhile, for the 2026 Lenten season, Pope Leo is observing his first Lent as pontiff with a message centered on listening and fasting. The message calls on Catholics to return to the essentials of their faith, step away from daily distractions and deepen their relationship with God. Beyond abstaining from food, the Pope is encouraging believers to fast from harsh language, gossip and unkind words, promoting compassion in personal, professional and social media interactions. On Ash Wednesday, February 18, he led the traditional Lenten pilgrimage from the Benedictine monastery of St. Anselm to the Basilica of Santa Sabina in Rome. The observance this year places strong emphasis on justice, reconciliation and attentiveness to both God and the vulnerable. You're live with us on the news. We go on a short break now, and when we come back, we've got more stories. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, the leadership of the Senate Committee on the North Central Development Commission has officially dismissed claims by Kogi Central lawmaker Natasha Apoti-Uduaghan regarding her membership in the panel. In a statement issued on Tuesday, committee chairman Titus Zam clarified that the Kogi Central lawmaker is not a member of the committee and was therefore not eligible to attend the 2026 budget defense session. Zam noted that Kogi State is already represented on the committee by Senators Isa Jibrin and Sunday Karimi. The clarification follows a heated confrontation at the National Assembly where the Kogi lawmaker allegedly blocked the entrance to Zam's office in protest of her name being omitted from the attendance register. Now, while the Kogi lawmaker maintained her exclusion was a deliberate act of marginalization, lawmaker Titus Zam has urged her to channel her grievances to the Senate Committee on Selection. News Central's Sagir Ibrahim joins us live now to give us more update. Sagir, now that Senator Zam has officially denied her membership, has Senator Natasha provided any documentation or a gazetted list to prove she was actually assigned to the NCDC committee?
Oh, good afternoon, Blessing. So far, not much information has been heard from Senator Natasha Akpoti-Oduah. As a matter of fact, I sent her a private message on WhatsApp, hoping that I could get more clarifications from her with regards to that, but I've not gotten a response from that yet. However, this was the office where the altercation that has now gone viral happened. This is the office of the chairman of the North Central Development Commission, Senator Titus Starting Exam, where she had come earlier on Monday to challenge the reasons for her exclusion in the committee activities. But however, we've not heard much from Senator Natasha. I've also gone to her office in hopes of seeing whether I could get some more information from Senator Natasha's office, but then we've not gotten any details. But upon confirmation, of other information from the office of Senator Titus Zam, like it's been mentioned in the news and of course in the statement that was given by the office of the senator and also the committee. She is not a member of the committee. The committee has representation from Kogi State. Though being a state in the North Central, the committee has representation from the likes of Senator Issa Jibrin and also Senator Steve Karimi. But I also got to understand an additional caveat to the reason why she was not added to the committee. Now, this is whether confirmed or not, has to do with the fact that when the committee was constituted, she was still serving her suspension. Of course, you would recall that she had gone on a suspension for 6 months sometime last year due to an altercation that happened on the floor of plenary between herself and the Senate President. Of course, other developments around whether this was a case of marginalization or not was deemed baseless by the committee chair, and he had also advised that if she had any issues regarding the selection of those who make up the committee and whether her name was excluded, she should simply just take it up with the committee on selection and of course with the Senate leadership to remedy, because as it is, the chairman of the committee does not have the power to add any new members to the committee without the express powers and the express permission of the leadership of the Senate. It's back to you, Blessings.
Okay, let's talk about what is now presently in the record. I mean, the physical altercation involving AIDS is now part of the public record. Is there any move by the Senate Ethics Committee to sanction those that are involved in the brawl at Senator Zam's office?
I mean, not much information has been heard about that, Blessings. Expectedly, if there should be any moves, we would have to see that happen on the floor of plenary in form of a motion. But considering the fact that the Senate currently is on recess, of course, it had met yesterday to deliberate upon issues around the Electoral Act amendment, but that was an emergency sitting. So at the moment, until the lawmakers return from recess, we'll just wait with bated breath to see what the situations would be like in the next legislative meetings. When that is done, if a motion is brought before the Senate, then it will then be referred to the Committee on Ethics and Privileges for further investigation. And then if any sanctions would be taken, it would have to go through those channels. But for now, no information has been heard with regards to sanctions or with regards to she appearing before the Committee on Ethics. Blessings.
All right, Sagir Ibrahim there bringing us an update on the row in the Senate committee, and definitely we've got eyes and ears on ground to keep us updated. Now, the Coalition of Civil Rights Organizations for Good Governance has condemned what it described as a sustained smear campaign against Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited. The group, led by Jude Ochiaga and Kolawole Abi, accused certain individuals of spreading misleading reports and sponsoring protests aimed at discrediting the company. Now, according to the coalition, the attacks are being driven by oil thieves and economic saboteurs whose illegal activities have been significantly curtailed by Tantita's operations. The group maintained that since the company's engagement by the federal government, incidents of pipeline vandalism have declined, crude oil production has also improved, and collaboration with security agencies has strengthened. The coalition is now urging authorities and communities in the Niger Delta to resist acts of sabotage. It also reaffirmed its support for President Bola Tinubu and passed a vote of confidence in Tantita's leadership and personnel. You're live with us on the news. We go on a short break, and when we come back, we've got more stories. Do stay with us. All right, what you see now is the live visual from the Lekki-Ekpe axis. We talked about this with our correspondent Israel Iforobo earlier, and as you can see, police operatives have arrived there, and it looks like they're trying to maintain law and order and, of course, to ensure a smooth movement of transporters. Now, we said earlier that what is happening here is that minibus drivers are protesting mass transit corridor designation, and we did say, if you remember, that a woman was lamenting that she was asked to bring 500,000 naira to reclaim her minibus, and that's what Nigerians call the Marwa, and commuters were finding it difficult earlier on, but as you can see, security operatives, the policemen are there to ensure that there is law and order as this goes on. And you can see that there is heavy traffic congestion, but thankfully it looks like it's easing off gradually. So this is a live visual from the Lekki-Ekpe transport route that Israel Iforobo brought to us earlier, and he's still on ground and will be giving us more updates subsequently. But for now, this is the live visual.
Hello? How far are you there now?
All right, we'll circle back to that when we're able to speak with Israel again. But in the meantime, the governor of Delta State, Sheriff Oboreveri, has inspected some ongoing road projects in the state, reaffirming his administration's commitment to providing quality infrastructure and ensuring timely completion. The governor stressed the need for adherence to standards, noting that his administration will not settle for anything less. Now, data from Statistics South Africa shows official unemployment rate eased to 31.4% in the fourth quarter of 2025, down from 31.9%. Employment rose to 17.1 million, and the number of unemployed fell to 7.8 million. However, the labor force shrank by 128,000, signaling fewer people are working or seeking work. Youth unemployment remains critical at 61%, with 5.8 million young people jobless. The Motor Industry Staff Association is urging urgent practical reforms focused on skills development and sustainable job creation. Now, Kenya and the United States are set to resume bilateral trade negotiations in Washington next week, as both countries seek to strengthen commercial ties. Kenya's Trade Cabinet Secretary Lee Kinyanjui says the discussions will run from Monday through Thursday, with follow-up meetings scheduled to finalize outstanding agreements. Kenya exported goods worth $737 million to the United States in 2024, accounting for roughly 10% of its total export. The negotiations, first initiated in 2020, aim to deepen trade and investment partnerships, address non-tariff barriers, and secure continued market access during President Donald Trump's first term. Still talking Kenya, Kenyan activist and presidential aspirant Boniface Mwangi says he fears for his life after authorities allegedly installed spyware on his phone during his arrest in 2025. Now, police reportedly raided Mwangi's home and office, seizing electronic devices over allegations of facilitation of terrorist acts. Research by the University of Toronto's Citizen Lab found that the spyware, developed by Israeli digital intelligence firm Celebrite, enabled authorities to access messages, financial data, documents, and passwords without consent. Amnesty International has also raised concerns about the technology being used to target journalists and activists. Mwangi, a vocal critic of President William Ruto, says the surveillance endangers his life, his campaign team, and members of his inner circle. Now, Gabon's media regulator has suspended social media nationwide until further notice, citing rising online content, as it says, is fueling conflict and division. The High Authority for Communication announced the decision through spokesman Jean-Claude Mendom, warning that harmful posts, misinformation, cyberbullying, and data breaches threaten national security and social cohesion. Authorities did not name affected platforms, but stressed freedom of expression remains protected. The move comes amid growing labor unrest under President Bryce Nguma, as teachers strike over pay and conditions, and other public sector workers signal possible industrial action across Gabon in the coming weeks amid heightened tensions nationwide. Artificial intelligence is no longer a futuristic idea. It's now part of the everyday survival kit for many young Africans. From drafting emails to writing applications, preparing research papers, or even composing social media captions, AI now feels like a shortcut to relevance. But then, at what point does assistance become dependence? You see, long before artificial intelligence became mainstream, we had one major problem in Africa. Many educators already raised concerns about declining writing skills and even speaking skills among graduates. Employers complained that young professionals struggled to construct clear sentences, to draft formal communication, or express ideas confidently. Now, with AI ready to finish every thought, the fear is that some young people may be outsourcing not just their workload, but their thinking. And yet, artificial intelligence is not the villain in this story, because used well, it can actually expand creativity, it can deepen research, because I use it, many people use it, and it can open global doors for African youth who may not have access to world-class resources. The danger appears only when the tool now begins to replace the mind rather than sharpen it. Now, when every response is AI generated, when every opinion is borrowed, and when every voice is polished by a machine, we risk raising a generation that sounds intelligent but struggles to think independently. And that's your postscript. Now, before we go, let's find out what's happening in the sporting world. The Nigeria Women Football League Premiership returns after a short break, and the race for Super 6 is heating up. Onyechi Obaro is here and has more. Onyechi, tell us more.
Yes, Blessings, we've got 9 games across different venues in Nigeria, 4 in Group A and 5 in Group B. But the top 6 spot is still up on the line for the girls. We'll be hoping to break that down more on In the Game at 1 p.m.
Well, you've heard it. Stay tuned on In the Games with Onyechi Obaro today. And that's all on the 12 report. Do send in your eyewitness report because we want to see what you see. The WhatsApp number is on the screen. Do also follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. Now, you can watch News Central live on DSTV, channel 422, Gold TV, channel 23, Star Times 274, Evo TV, and, of course, live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Blessings Wasu.